Afternoon. My name is Michael Lewis, and I'm with the MLK Committee for Justice. I'm introducing this afternoon Dr. Touré. Please tell us your name, your family history in the Low Country.
I am Dr. Amir Jamal Touré. My family has been in the Low Country of Georgia and South Carolina since at least 1814, documented in Bluffton and Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. I take great pride in talking about that and discussing that because I want people to understand we are rooted in the soil here in this area, that we are part of the tapestry and the foundation of this area that people like to talk about how they love the area. My people are part of that foundation. I take pride in that, letting people understand if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here today. We would not be able to enjoy it. And so my family on Hilton Head is the Murrays, the Greens, the Walters, the Dreesens, and all the others that's tied to it, from Millers to Fergusons to Browns to Aikens or everybody. So again, all the iterations that spread out from that. And so with great pride, I share that with people. I tell folks I'm a proud person on both sides of the water, South Carolina and Georgia, Savannah and Hilton Head. I would not be who I am today if it was not for the experiences right there at Hilton Head and enjoying the experience at Hilton Head Elementary and then being here in Savannah and all that. So yeah, Squire Pope Road, Marston Road, yeah, that's us. And so that's who we are. Went to undergrad at Savannah State University, then went to Mercer University for law school. But my drive has always been about the people, because, and I tell folks that came from being right there on Hilton Head, being around the people, seeing how the respect that people had for my grandmother and my grandfather, Arthur Sonny Murray and Annabelle Walters Murray, looking at the respect that they had, that made me feel special and saying, wow, that they showed love to people and the people showed love back to them.
You're referred to as a people's historian and also a cultural historian. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, we're honored to do that because people know that I've done presentations around the entire world throughout the Americas, and we've done for the Prime Minister of Haiti. We've done did a great session with Danny Glover on St. Helena Island, and then when he saw me after I finished, he came and grabbed me and hugged me, and he was like, brother, we need you. And so with all of that, I tell folks, I said those accolades are wonderful, but the most important ones that I enjoy more are doing it for the people, being right there. And I bring it home, just to absolutely bring it home, that one year we were doing the Hilton Head Gullah celebration, and this was at the old Gullah Flea Market. What then occurred after I had finished doing the presentation, that's when I had some people come up to me and say, and Queen Quet was one of them, say, when the spirit was out there doing this, giving the history, that people were saying, that's my granddad he talking about. That's my grandmama he talking about. That's talking about my cousin right there. That's my uncle. And so she was like, the audience were like into what you were saying. And I realized, I said, yeah, because it's them, it's the people, it's their history. And so that's when I began to understand about being the people's historian, understanding about that. And then Sister Louise Cohen said to me after another gala celebration, she said, boy, you know why we got to have you? Because you talk about everybody. Because one year what I did, I talked about the Austins. I went down to the top of the Talberts. I went and talked about everybody. I just throwing at the family names. And she said, you just don't talk about one family or two families. You talk about everybody. And so again, it begins to ride that wave from there when they began to understand that, hey, listen, when the spirit or when Jamal is talking, it's not just going to be exclusive to just a certain segment that a lot of people know about, but it's going to be everybody. I want everybody to understand that they are a reason why we enjoy the Low Country of South Carolina. That is their family histories. It's their stories that are powerful and palpable for all of us, and we need to celebrate them. And so that's why being a people's historian is letting the people know of their greatness. And being a cultural historian, bring in the elements of our story that's unique to us right here, and that we celebrate it and we let it be known clearly to the world. We are the best of the best.
Tell us what's unique about the Gullah-Geechee culture.
Generally, people say that Gullah-Geechee people are the living links to Africa, and that's from Queen, but that we're the living links to Africa, and that we hold on to more African traditions than any other African people in the United States. Now, for me, I tell folks, all Black folks hold on to African traditions to some degree. But with us, we're putting it out there a bit more, people with regards to identification. But the one thing that I tell folks that makes us distinct more than anything, I honor for cracky like this year, I unwrapping my funny like this year, I'm spreading my funny like this year. That when we speak the Gullah language, and when I say when we speak or when we speaking English, that again, so for us, that with regards to Gullah is the only African-based language in the United States. And guess what? My grandmother, them, cracky teeth just like this year. And so again, that pride and understanding that when we go and say something like Bakra, this is a funny thing. I would do presentations and say Bakra. Then I had some people in Hilton head like, he shouldn't be saying Bakra. And I'm like, what? You don't know your story. So now I had to emphasize and start telling people, I said, Bakra stands for European or Caucasian. And that, guess what? In Jamaica, Guyana, Belize, Barbados, Suriname, the VI, they all going to say Bakra. But that word comes from Africa where they say Mbakara. So that, and it means European or Caucasian. So here you go, I said, that goes to show you how Africa still resides with us. Gullah-Geechee people, just based on the language alone, we are, as Queen Quet was going to say, the living links to Africa. I go and say, via the language itself. And when I go and say, coulda, oh my God. Have people from the Caribbean go and say, coulda, oh yeah, coulda. We nam coulda. And then we say nam. And for us in Gullah, when we say nam, that means to eat. People in Jamaica say nam. In Guyana, they say nam. And in Panama, they say nam and go, which means eat and go away. So just the very language itself is unique because it ties us back to Africa directly, which again, for some of us, we've been so disconnected that right now we have a connection and a foundation. None of us have to search about who we are. We have it with us, and Gullah-Geechee people have it with them. It's embedded in us.
Dr. Ture, you devoted your career to keeping the Gullah-Geechee way of life alive. You've also worked hard to educate the next generation. Much of that involved correcting false information that has been spread about the culture and its people. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. When I'm teaching my classes, in particular in the Africana Studies side, that I would teach often, or when I do presentations, I give people a proverb, an African proverb that goes, the hunter will always be the hero of the story until the lion has a historian. I repeat, the hunter will always be the hero of the story until the lion has a historian. And I remember one day I wrote this on the board. In all my classes, I start this, that's the first day of class, I write this on the board. And I had this young man in back of me said, that's us. And I like, oh, okay, he's picking up on it. Because for so many of us, we have bought into the story of the hunter. So we have to break our own stories, that we have stories that must be told. So for Gullah-Geechee people, that's what happened for us. We embrace the negative things about who we are based on somebody's stereotypical thoughts and absolutely wrong thoughts. Because when they had called Gullah, for example, they called Gullah broken English, bad English, baby talk, or a dialect. When, as I shared with y'all, that Gullah is an African-based language and it's the only one in the United States. That should be a sense of pride for us. But others have tried to use that to make it negative for us. And a man by the name of Dr. Lorenzo Dow Turner came down here and heard people when he was at at South Carolina State. He heard them crack a teeth. He heard them speaking. He heard them saying una. And he was asking these people where they're from. And they said they're from coastal Georgia and coastal South Carolina. They're from Charleston. So now he's realizing that we have been bashing this language spoken by these Africans in coastal Georgia and coastal South Carolina, when in fact, by him being a linguist, said, this is directly from Africa. So what has happened is that some of us bought into it, too afraid to speak Gullah, because we have been taught in our school systems that that was bad English and broken English, when in fact, we were actually bilingual. We came from homes that were bilingual homes. That is powerful. How many African Americans can say that they came from homes that were bilingual homes? Not many, but that's a part of our story. And so with that next generation, for me, is to plant the seeds. I say plant the seeds, and I tell folks, I plant the seeds of you for it to be nurtured, for some water, for some light to come to it. And wherever you take it to another level. And it's for me to sit back and to marvel at you with regards to this, to marvel and see how you take it to another level. And for us, it is crucial for us to know our story, and for Gullah-Geechee people in particular know, because at one time they made Gullah appear to be, and Geechee to be, that you also, they call somebody Geechee, that meant that you were backwards, that you were ignorant. And some of us shied away, we pushed away from that, we left that alone. When what happened, other people came along, then I tell the story incorrectly. And I've had this experience when I had people take my journeys in Savannah, and they are going to talk about, they know Gullah-Geechee culture. And they talk about, and they give out this stuff that Gullah-Geechee people are just on the islands. I said, no, more Gullah-Geechee people are on the mainland than on any island. So I say that's always been the situation. So you can't go and just brush off the mainland so people then feel like they're not connected. And then I throw out to folks, I do something simple with them. I pull out a brown paper bag and I ask those same people who are so knowledgeable about my culture, trying to let me know that I don't know my culture. I go and say to them, I said that, I pull out the brown paper bag and I say, you know what this is? And they say, oh, it's a brown paper bag. Then I say, no, it's a stamp. And they look at me like, a stamp. I'm like, yes, for Gullah-Geechee people, what we do, we take a piece of this brown paper bag, tear it off, lick it, then, and this is for a baby, if the baby has hiccups, then what we do, we tear off a piece of that brown paper bag, lick it, then put it on the forehead of the baby. The baby will stop hiccuping. And that's called a stamp. So here go these people who think that they know my culture, my history, are dumbfounded by that. And that's when I say, we must be the ones to tell the story. So that's why it's on me, and it's ordained in every one of us to tell the story, so that way it's told correctly.
You have asserted that it is offensive for local communities to use the word plantation in their names. And that spurred a movement that has encouraged people to remove it from some communities. Please elaborate.
Yes, sir. And this goes back in time, and this is just like the thing where we shared about we plant seeds. And this is a conversation that I have with folks not gone on actually some 20 years now. Some 20 years. I'm not thinking. This is 2020. Actually, over 20 years, going on 3 decades. We had talked about this because I realized that plantations are akin to concentration camps, and that nowhere would you find in Eastern Europe, or excuse me, in Western Europe, and even Eastern Europe, would you find the Dachau gated community. You will not find the Auschwitz gated community, where people are not living in those communities with these great homes. But I then said, but now in the United States, here in the US, in the South in particular, we have communities, gated communities and subdivisions that are called plantations. Plantations were horrific places. They're not anything that you want to like showcase and you want to give accolades to as if that's something prominent regarding our history. No, they were horrible places. And that, just to elaborate on the conversation with regard to what took place there, it caused many people to shudder. It caused depression for some people. But then we have it. And that's when I say, guess what? We don't respect our story, so other people don't respect our story. So that's why I say, going on 3 decades, I've been out there sharing with people, having conversations with people that we should not have communities called plantations. And I said, in particular, I said, African Americans, regardless if you're from this area, if you're not from this area, you should not reside in a place called plantation. So, as I said, that seed was planted and it continued. So what then happened in June of last year in 2020, what occurred was that it was almost a perfect situation of the water and the light not being nurtured. And I have to throw this out there. What happened, since I was supposed to speak at the event in June on Hilton Head, my cousin Galen Miller said to me, give it to him. Give it to him. Don't hold back. So I looked at him. I was like, okay. And I said, I texted somebody, I said, my cousin told me don't hold back. So when that opportunity came to speak, again, about all of us coming together, but then I want to let people understand, for us to come together, you got to respect my ancestors. You got to respect them. And you got to respect their legacy. My ancestors would not have looked at a plantation as being something that is wonderful, that is a great place. My ancestors would look at a plantation being a place of oppression, a place of murder, of rape, of horrors that are unimaginable to us. The loss of families, the plantation would have been something that caused severe depression, mental trauma, all right there. My ancestors would have not looked at a plantation on Hilton Head, in Chatham County, in Beaufort County, in Charleston County, in Glenn County, in Nassau County, would have looked at it as being something noble and that we need to hold up and applaud. So at that opportunity, I then went forward to say that we must get rid of gated communities with the names that have plantation on it. They're saying that if we're now concerned about bringing about social justice, bringing about harmony, bringing about humanity to where we are, then respect my ancestors, because again, their stories must be told, and our humanity is tied to that. That we can't embrace plantations because again, we understand the fullness of the story, because no one else will go and live on a concentration camp gated community. So why do we do it today? And from there, it just catapulted and just rolled with regards to, again, another movement that had occurred before, but all I did was just, again, it was just the perfect time with regard to the light and the water being nurturing the seed that now germinated to this movement that occurred on Hilton Head, which is prominent because, again, it happened on Hilton Head, then it spread to other places.
Tell us, what's on your mind and heart as we honor Dr. King and the passing of John Lewis?
Well, I have to share this with you. I'll be speaking at another event, and at that event, I plan on telling the people, we must stop the lies. We must stop the lies. We must cut the lies, because we can get angered and get bothered when other people don't tell our story or they leave us out of the story. But with regards to African people, Gullah-Geechee people, we cannot perpetuate the lies also. We cannot perpetuate the mythologies. And I'll backtrack on something. I tell people that most of us do not know American history. We know American mythology, and we regurgitate the mythology. We feed the mythology to other people. And so when we talk about Dr. King and we look at that, we isolate Dr. King solely, but we forget about so many other people that made it possible. King was not able to do this by himself. King did not do it by himself. And we forget about people. And I have to share this, that what's on my heart and my soul with regards to, even when people talk about John Lewis and talk about Good Trouble right now, and people emphasize the thing about Good Trouble. I'm like, listen, why are you talking about John Lewis? Why are you talking about Dr. King? And you don't talk about Daisy Ferguson. Daisy Ferguson, some people in Hilton is like, Daisy Ferguson. They'll say, that's my grandmama, that's my mama, that's my aunt, that's my grand aunt, that's my cousin. Give you somebody, Daisy Ferguson, that is unique, just to throw that out there. On Hilton Head Island, during the Civil Rights Movement, they had chapters of the NAACP on Hilton Head Island. And Hilton Head was unique in the sense that when I say chapters, that you just didn't have a Hilton Head Island NAACP. Each one of the communities, the Gullah-Geechee communities on Hilton Head, had their own division of the chapter of the NAACP. So you had the Chaplain division, you had the Pineland division, you had the Grassland, you had the Pope, you had the Stony, you had each one of them. Each one of the communities had their chapters of the NAACP. Now, there's no other place in the country that I even heard something like that. And one of the people that was involved in this one, she was the secretary, that was Daisy Ferguson. So I'm listening to this right here, and I'm saying, wow, that is unique to us, and that's unique to our story. And then I throw Daisy Ferguson out there again, because she said something about, she said to her son, who's one of the town council members on Hilton Head, William Billy Ferguson. She said to him when he sat on the bus, on the front seat of the bus, and then the bus driver, Caucasian bus driver, told him to get to the back of the bus. And he still sat there, but the driver still was looking at this young boy saying to him, get to the back of the bus. Again, this is before Rosa Parks and all this was happening. So he's being told is get to the back of the bus. But he refuses. And finally, he then concedes and he moves back to the back of the bus where Daisy was sitting to the back of the bus anyway. So now he comes to the back and he talks about how he was crying. And then he says his mother leans over to him, Daisy Ferguson said, "Don't you let these people see you cry." That then spurred him to not go forward and to go forward with regards to making changes for all of us in the Low Country on Hilton Head Island. And this is coming from this woman, Daisy Ferguson, that again, I said, who was a part of the Civil Rights Movement. So I say we can look at Dr. King, but there's so many other heroes and sheroes that have been instrumental to our movement for us now to go forward. People from Hilton Head were bodyguards for Dr. King. So I look at that and I think about that. I think about members of the white family who are, again, who are part of the bodyguards for Dr. King. Now, this white families who are from Hilton Head, but they're living over in Savannah. So they're protecting Dr. King when he's in the area. Powerful stories with regards to who we are as a people. And that, again, if you want to say they're getting in good trouble, it's good trouble. But actually, they were just being men and women, being our sheroes and heroes. That's how I look at them, being heroes and sheroes for us. And Dr. King being a part of the conduit for that right there. And this moment in time is to reflect not just on Dr. King, but to reflect on our people on a local level because they made the changes.
I have one more question. And before I ask that question, thank you for this education. My last question, in his most famous speech, Dr. King stated, "I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal." What does that mean to you?
Now, and Brother Lewis, I'll say this to you, that you posed that question to me, and I have to go and say this. When I hear that, I hear someone else. I hear someone else. When I hear people say, "I have a dream," I don't hear Dr. King in 1963 in Washington, D.C. at the Lincoln Memorial. That's not the King that I'm listening to. I'm listening to another table tapper. In Gullah, table tapper means preacher or minister. I'm listening to this young preacher, this young minister that Dr. King said he never wanted to go behind this particular preacher, said that he would prefer to go before this particular minister, because when that minister now got up, it was going to be hard to even fall behind them. And this was Dr. King saying, who was that minister? Her name is, and I just said, her name is Reverend Prathia Hall. Reverend Prathia Hall was a young lady, a young minister, an activist, a young activist, a student activist. And that's why when you had asked me about with regards to the young work with the young people, that's why I see we have to continue telling the story and carrying and making sure that they are nurtured properly for them to become the leaders. Reverend Prathia Hall is down in Terrell County, Georgia, and she's at the Mount Olive Baptist Church there. And she began to talk about something. And there's a minister sitting there also at the same event, at the same church. And this is during the height of the Civil Rights Movement. And she began to talk about that she had a dream. She said, "I have a dream." And she continued, and she's firing us up about this dream that she's having. And the minister who was sitting there listening to this dream of hers, who hears this dream, his name is Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. King is there listening to Prathia Hall talk about the dream. The dream speech for Dr. King actually came from was inspired by Reverend Prathia Hall, this young lady who's a young minister, a student. And she's doing this that I'm like, wow, yes, she does this. And so now Dr. King now carries it to places such as Rocky Mount, North Carolina, to Detroit, to Savannah, Georgia, takes it also to DC before he does it in DC in August of 1963. So when I'm hearing all this, I'm like saying, yes, yes, Prathia Hall, one of our sheroes that we have to acknowledge. And that's why I talk about that. So, and she gives her life with regards to being a voice for us. And so what is all that from Prathia Hall to Dr. King? I tell folks, even before both of them, that we are the sum total. We are the dreams and the manifestation of the dreams of our ancestors, that all of them on Hilton Head, in Bluffton, in Jasper County, in Carleton County, in Charleston County, all of them in Chatham County, we are the sum total and the manifestation of their dreams. See, Dr. King has his dream, but then our ancestors had a dream long before Dr. King. They understood about having not just equal rights and having political rights, they understood it also about economics, That's what they did in this area right here. And that's what Dr. King came around to that same thinking 100 years later. And so that's why I say when I hear all that and that we all created equal, I just gonna say we are the manifestations of the dreams of our ancestors. We are ordained by the Most High to be here and to manifest those dreams because we all have divine purposes in our lives. And that's for us to go and uplift other people, to be voices for those who are voiceless, to help those who don't have the help, but then also help this world to accelerate to higher heights, that we not look out for those who are least, but also take it to another level.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Peace and blessings.